4K video I took on this iPhone 11. Let's see it.
Come on, really? I swear that squirrel looked like a bear.
This crystal clear 4K video says otherwise, Joe.
Well, I'm just happy we could contact a ranger with T-Mobile's powerful signal.
For a squirrel?
Get to a T-Mobile store today and get 4 new amazing iPhone 11s with 4 lines. Now just $35 a line with qualifying trade-ins. Switch today.
Video streams at 480p via 24 credits for well-qualified buyers. $30 plan plus $5 phone with auto pay plus taxes and fees. If you cancel, credits may stop at remaining balance due. Contact us. Qualifying credit service and finance agreements required. 0 down plus 29.17 times 24. Free credit price $699.99. 0% APR.
Time for another Action Network Flash. On Sunday night, Dallas hosts Minnesota, and money is favoring one side of the total with over 70% on the over 48. For all the betting info, download the free Action Network app today.
Are your tires ready for the snow, ice, and freezing rain? Then get a Down Fair tire for your new set of Michelin tires that offer confidence in all types of winter driving conditions. Long-lasting, fuel-efficient Michelin winter tires will keep you going for many years to come. And Town Fair has every Michelin winter tire at the guaranteed lowest price you'll find anywhere. Nobody beats Town Fair tire. Nobody.
There's always more ways to win on FanDuel Sportsbook, and it's easy to get your winnings when you want them with FanDuel Sportsbook's cash out feature. You can end your bet early, claim your cash with the push of a button. Plus, FanDuel's fast payouts mean you can get your winnings in your pocket in as little as 24 hours. If you don't like the spread or the money line or the over-under, just click on more wagers and you find a whole bunch of prop bets, player props, team props, whatever you want. And best of all, you can place your first bet on FanDuel Sportsbook risk-free. If you lose, you get a refund up to $500 in site credit. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, promo code GEO to bet from anywhere in New Jersey. If you lose your bet within 7 days of signing up, FanDuel Sportsbook will give you a refund up to $500 in site credit. That's promo code GEO, G-I-O. Cash out not available in all markets. Offer applies to first online wager only. Refund issued to site credit. Site credit expires after 14 days. Go to sportsbook.fanduel.com for full terms. Must be 21 or older and present in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. Gambling problem. Go on out of gambling.
A mighty transforming tow truck plus a speedy rescue tow. Only at TestTowTruck.com. Free shipping and batteries. This is Damon Amendolara with a CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Lost amid the football week, it will be a basketball game tonight that most of the world doesn't care about. And that's because no one cares about the Knicks. And that's because of a man named Steve Mills. Tonight, New York travels to Dallas as the worst team in the NBA. And if the Knicks get their first chance to face their former star, Kristaps Porzingis, the Latvian unicorn demanded out of the Knicks because the losing culture was just so bad. That's on Mills, the longtime GM and president. There's been 500 games with Mills overseeing basketball for the Knicks. Guess how many New York has lost? 336 of them. The Knicks will look across the floor at the Mavs and think what could have been the possibility of a reality that had no Steve Mills. I'm DA, Damon Amendolara. O'Reilly Auto Parts will help make your auto repair, maintenance, and restoration projects easier. So when your car isn't stopping like it used to, our professional parts people will help you find the brake parts and supplies you need to do the job right the first time. Now, for a limited time, get 15% off a set of Brake Best pads and 2 rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Auto Parts. Family is big around here. We're family owned, family operated, family managed. And that means legacy. That means dependability. That means using Grainger. With over 1.5 million products and knowledgeable product experts, Grainger has whatever we need. And with same-day pickup and next-day delivery options, they have it whenever we need it. For over 90 years, businesses like ours have trusted Grainger. Because, like family, Grainger's got our back. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. Willie Hill started his own sportsbook in 1934. He didn't just use any name, he used his own. He wanted people to know that behind every bet there's a name you can count on. smarter. Get to your destination faster with the Spot Hero parking app. Download the free Spot Hero app. Enter your destination and reserve your spot. It's that easy. Use promo code CITY and save $10 off your first park. Spot Hero. Park smarter. Hi, I'm Tito Beveridge, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In the mid-90s, I bought a piece of land with a credit card check and built the very first micro distillery in the history of the state of Texas. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Prop Swap is the marketplace to go for two. Sell one ticket to lock in a profit, keep one ticket, and go for the win. Last NFL season, a seller listed a 2018 MVP ticket on PropSwap.com, and a buyer scooped up the ticket at 75-1 odds and cashed in for over $100,000. In addition, a prop swapper sold a New Orleans ticket for over $57,000. The buyer got great odds, and the seller made the right decision as they ultimately lost in the playoffs. You bet sports, you need Prop Swap. Go to PropSwap.com today.
All right, we're back. You know, I see a bell here. Now, I don't know if there's somebody, there's a lot of people coming in and out now. These even hosts the fan these days, folks that, you know, I've never even met. There's new names and new people. But I haven't seen a bell in the studio since Pete Franklin. Pete Franklin, who obviously some of you might remember was the first afternoon drive host, the person that Dog and I succeeded. He was there for the first 3 years, but he was ill a lot. He wasn't there a lot. But he had a bell. It was one of his gimmicks. It was a bell. And when Dog was working solo one time, he rang the bell a couple times, and Pete basically wanted to kill him. He was so mad that he rang the bell. It was hilarious. I mean, it was a long time ago, but that's what I'm reminded of when I see a bell in the studio. So somebody, I don't know who is using a prop as a, you know, but somebody has got a bell in the studio. I don't know who it is, but I see it here. All right, Eddie in Rockland starts us off. What's up, Eddie?
Hey, Mike, yeah, I remember those days. That was on a different station, though, also.
You got to get off the speakerphone. You got to get off the speakerphone.
Yeah, I'm not on speaker.
No, you sound like you are.
No. Question on the Giants, Jets. You know, I'm tired
You're not on a speakerphone.
No.
You got to call back because you're on a terrible connection then. Because that is a awful connection or a speakerphone. One or the other. Ken in Babylon, what's up, Ken?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good, there you go. That's better. What's up?
You know, there's not much, you know, to come out of Sunday's game, unfortunately. I know you hate these kind of questions, but, you know, if let's say Sunday was the Super Bowl or, you know, it was a game that your life depended on it, which one of these two coaches do you have more confidence in coaching a game? And then on that same front, if you had 1 week to game plan for a game, who would you choose to coach the offense and who would you choose to coach the defense all time for all your coaches?
I had one game to win ever. There's more than just X's and O's that goes into that game. I think motivation goes into the game a lot too. One game, guys. There's a lot of guys. I think I would take Lombardi. Would be the guy I would take for one game.
Offense or defense?
Well, Lombardi was I'm talking about I take him for one game to coach the game. But if you told me he was an offensive coach. Okay.
Who do you think for like X's and O's for defense and offense?
I take Lombardi for offense because he was an offensive coach and his team's execution was brilliant, utterly brilliant. I would take him to win the game too because he rarely lost a game that he circled. I mean, very, very rarely lost. As far as these two guys, I don't think there's much to choose from between the two of them. I really don't. I think right now the Giants are more settled. I think that Sherman's done a better job with Jones than Gaze has done with Sam. That I would say, but I don't think either coach is very impressive. As far as a defensive coach for one defensive game plan, I think I would take Belichick. Jim in Connecticut, what's up, Jim?
How you doing, Mike? Just wanted to say that the only great thing you can do about this game is to get Joe Pisarcik and Mark Sanchez to come in and do the coin flip.
Yeah, that would work. I mean, that takes you to about as much, takes it to as much ineptitude as you can take it. So I understand the premise. I don't think they're equal. Pisarcik's is so much different. What went on with Mark was clearly very embarrassing. But what went on with Pisarcik boggled the mind. Because that was a team breakdown. That wasn't just a singular person breakdown. That was an entire team breakdown. Jim in Long Island City. What's up, Jim?
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Good.
Happy Friday.
Thank you.
I just want to go back to this Giants game, and honestly, I'm just dreading it because I honestly think they're going to lose to the Jets, and it's going to be humiliating. But anyway, I talked to you yesterday, and you think both Gettleman and Shermer are going to get another year.
I do.
So, I mean, that's obviously terrible. I think they're both dreadful.
I think they bought that when they put Jones in. I think the feeling
Right.
I believe the feeling will be from Mara. I think there's a couple things playing in here. Number one, the young quarterback, they don't want to disrupt him. Number two,
Right.
they just finished jettisoning a coach early in his career, mid-season in McAdoo. I don't think they want to get involved in that stuff again.
Do it again. So if they do that, say next year's a disaster, any idea who like they would even like target if they could get rid
I
of?
have no idea.
New England or Philly? I'd even like Doug Marrone maybe. If
I don't have a name for you at this point because 2 years in the NFL is an eternity. It's an absolute eternity. I'm not big on bringing an experienced older coach out of mothballs, because I think what happens with those guys is that you pay them a lot of money, you give them a lot of power, and they don't ultimately win anyway. So when that's the case, you've spent a lot of money, you've gone in their direction, and it doesn't work anyway. So from that standpoint, I think that I wouldn't go for, like, let's say I wouldn't dig a cower out of, off TV or something like that. Or take somebody who has won a Super Bowl, because if you take someone who's won a Super Bowl, you're going to pay them a ton. You're going to give them a lot of it. You're going to give them a lot of leeway. You're going to give them a lot of responsibility. You're going to give them a lot of power. And nobody who's been in that position before has won. And some of them have been disasters. A good number of them, if you go back and look, the second go-rounds for Joe Gibbs, for Mike Shanahan, go down the list, have been really bad. Frank in Newark, what's up, Frank?
Hey, Mike, how you doing? Big fan here. Sorry to hear that you're leaving us. The Giant-Jet game on Sunday, which way do you think the wind's going to break at the stadium?
Okay. Go out and find out. I could care less. Bill in Shoreham, what's up, Bill?
Mike, thanks for taking the call.
Yeah.
Mike, I think your commentary on the state of football in New York is tremendous. It's so pitiful. And, these coaches today, they don't have that big picture mentality. They're all compartmentalized. I have a couple questions for you. I think the Giants are ahead of the Jets, number one.
Right.
The Jets went into the season with the lousy couple of bad backups. I think the Giants are ahead. And I think the reason that Sam did so well against Dallas, he had such a good amount of time off, he's under pressure now. Mike, did Barkley get hurt Monday night? Why did he have such a lousy game? And is he going to be a big factor?
Barkley did carry the ball 14 times. He did run the ball for 65 yards on one pass play. He didn't have a lot of holes to run into, and he just had a bad game. The Cowboys did a very good job. 14 carries for 28 yards, with 8 being his longest run. That's a terrible year. That's a terrible game. That's the worst game Barkley's played. Barkley has regressed a little bit here. He's not doing a good job in blitz pickup. He has looked ordinary at times, and I didn't think they could make Barkley look ordinary. But they've made him look ordinary recently. Al in Jersey, what's up, Al? Hello? Go ahead, Al. Sorry, we can't hear you. That's not working. Ron in Connecticut, go ahead, Ron.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good,
Thanks for your years of service. I certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And are they really going to take us through another year of this garbage between been following this team for a long time, and it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch, and I'm asking, are they going to really go through another year of Shermer and Gettleman?
I think they will. I don't think they will fire them. I don't. I think the Daniel Jones thing really ensured that. I think that it gives them an excuse for the record. They can talk about how the whole year was about development. They'll point to something in the last couple of weeks here that happens, whether it's one good game, whether it's, whatever it is, they'll point to something that, let's say that whatever week it is that they have a good game, there'll be a week in the last 8-9 weeks where they have a good game. They'll point to that game as, look at the development we've made. I really think the Giants are leery because I think they look at it as an indictment if they keep changing the coach and general manager. That there's instability, and remember, they basically are very much in the same kind of mold as the Steelers are. They don't want to make changes. Now the Steelers just don't. They don't make changes. The Steelers have had 3 coaches since 1969. I mean, think about that. 3. This is 2020. They've had 3 coaches since 1969. That's as stable as an organization can ever be. And that was, I don't know if you folks even realize it, the Steelers were the doormats of the NFL forever. They were the worst team by a mile. Until it turned around with Noel and the great draft of the early 70s and what went on from there when they started bringing in guys like Joe Green and Terry Bradshaw. They were the laughing stock of the league. But since then, they've obviously been anything but. But the Giants have copied themselves after modeled themselves after the same thing as the Steelers. And they don't like to make the changes that they had to make, but they had to do it recently, and I don't think they want to do it again. So I don't think, unless they lose them all, I don't think that they will change the coach or the GM after the year. But next year, they will have to. Absolutely will have to. If we go through another year like this, they'll have no choice. Danny Jeremiah is on the NFL Network. As you probably know, you can follow him on Twitter at Move the Sticks. Covers the draft. Also covers the league, so lots to cover there. Daniel, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great, Mike. How you doing?
Let me start with since we have Danielson coming up and the game's on the Fan tomorrow, LSU, Alabama. There's 2 things surrounding the game. Obviously, 2 is availability, which we won't know tomorrow, and also what that means for him now that he's on his 2nd straight year of having these high ankle sprains. How that impacts him. And then, of course, the LSU quarterback who has thrust himself out of nowhere, not only into the Heisman race, but a lot in some places with scouts into the top 10 in the draft. So, here's a kid who came out of nowhere who is now being talked about as a locked first rounder in the draft.
Yeah, you talk about somebody's helped themselves. Nobody's helped themselves more this year than what we've seen down there at LSU. And Joe Burrow, coming into the year, I would say, Mike, you're talking about somebody who's being talked about as a 3rd, 4th round pick. And you heard great things about the intangibles, the toughness, the leadership, all that. But it was like, I just don't know how talented he is. And then he kind of announced his presence in that game against Texas, where he goes on the road and just torched the Longhorns in that one. And he's really done it all year long. So I don't think he's the most skilled guy, but I think he's improved in that area, and I think with the intangibles he has to go along with it, I think he's absolutely. When you're in draft meetings, when you're talking about durability, when you write your reports and you put it in the system, like you have to put in there how many games they've missed. So the weird thing is, even though he's had these 2 high ankle sprains, last year it happened at that period of time, in the conference championship games. He had a month to really get healthy for the playoffs. So technically he didn't miss any games. This year he missed 1 game because he had the benefit of the bye week. So
Yeah, on paper, it looks like, oh, this kid's only missed one game, but I'm with you. I mean,
But he
these are
played hurt every game last year, and if he comes, and we don't know if he's going to play tomorrow. I gather he is. I mean, I'm going to go on the premise that he is until I hear otherwise. But you know, I love Tua as a pro because I think he's as accurate as any quarterback I've seen in college in a long time, and accuracy to me is at the top of the charts, and he is deadly accurate. But his injury issues, they scare me. When guys get hurt in college, I worry about them because they're going to get hurt in the pros.
Yeah, I mean, look, we used to have an old scout when I first started. When I was with the Baltimore Ravens, he used to say, "Let me give you some advice, young guys. Fat guys stay fat, dumb guys stay dumb, and hurt guys stay hurt."
That's a good one. He's absolutely right. You know what? He's absolutely right. Yeah.
So that was kind of an old scout's words, and you know, look, the durability thing does follow you. It has followed a lot of players. So, no, I mean, he hasn't missed whole seasons, hasn't even missed chunks of seasons, but he has been beat up. I think that's true. The harder thing for me with Tua, I think he's fantastic, but when you try and evaluate him, there's only going to be 4 games worth watching. Everything that you've seen on Tua this year, throw out. I mean, because Mike, you read the tape at the top of his drop. He's got 3 receivers that are 5 yards in the clear, and that's tough to translate that. Now, LSU, probably Georgia in the conference championship game, and 2 playoff games. Those are the 4 tapes NFL teams are going to focus on because the rest of this stuff, they're just so much better than everybody they're playing against. It's hard to get a good evaluation.
No question, but he is a incredibly accurate passer. I mean, it's unbelievable. He put the ball on a dime. I mean, I've had guys who worked that league and are NFL guys and have been NFL guys for a long time tell me that he is the most accurate passer they have ever. I mean, Aikman was deadly. I mean, this guy is deadly. He doesn't have the velocity that Aikman had, but he is deadly accurate. He can put the ball on a dime. It's an incredible quality he has in terms of he drops the ball in there perfectly on these guys time after time after time.
And that's, to me, I look at 3 things when I'm looking at quarterbacks. If you boil it all down, I want to see decision making, I want to see accuracy, and I want to see poise. And I would say Tua Tagovailoa grades out very high in all 3 of those areas.
How about the 2 other players in college this year? One's on Alabama, that's Judy, who's going to be a great pro. And then the Ohio State kid, who now has got some issues, I know, but he is a guy who's going to come out and be the same kind of pass rusher that the other guys have been. He's going to come out and be a really disruptive pass rusher.
Yeah, somebody asked me, what is Chase Young at Ohio State? Who does he remind you of? And I said, well, if Myles Garrett and Joey Bosa had a baby, it would be.
Yeah, basically, he's right in line. He's right in line, and they've been great pros, so he's going to be can't miss. There's no question. He's going to be can't miss. Yeah,
he's very easy. You know, my young daughter who does watch football or like football, I could show her 15 plays and say, who's the son? And she'd be able to figure that out.
He's easy. I mean, and now if he sits out, if they make him sit out the rest of the year, it's not going to disrupt anything. It's not going to disrupt anything. And then Judy, to me, Judy's going to be a major force in the NFL. He's going to be perfect.
He's outstanding, but I'll ask you this question because you're there in the market. Somebody reached out to me on social media and said, "Oh, Judy's going to be perfect for Sam Darnold. He's just what they need." And I'm sitting here going, "There is absolutely," and I love Judy. He's a great player. There is no chance the Jets could take a wide receiver in the first round. They have no tackles. They have no edge rushers. They have no corners.
The Jets have to go shopping. You're absolutely right. Listen, you're absolutely right. The Jets don't have that luxury to take a guy like that. The Jets have to build the infrastructure first. They have no chance. You're absolutely right. They need everything you mentioned. They need corners. They need tackles. They need pass rushes. They don't have any of the 3, and you know you got to go shopping there first. So that goes without saying.
Those are expensive items. Those are items that are a lot harder to find later on in the draft, whereas receivers, I mean, I can show you
who is the best tackle in the draft?
Right now, the kid at Georgia, Thomas, is really good. It's good depth-wise. There's not a Larry Tunsil type talent in this draft that I've seen thus far at tackle. There's a kid, what's his name, Beckton, at Louisville, who is enormous. And if you watched the Raiders play last night, I did the Charger game, so I saw them up front. I mean, that Trent Brown, who's a massive human, who's really been a good player for the Patriots, and now the Raiders. This kid at Louisville reminds me of him. He's a good player. There's a lot of players in this draft, Mike, that are better than what the Jets have to play with right now. So that's good news for Joe Douglas.
Yeah, and easy as far as that's concerned. As you said, the Jets need so much help on the offensive line. It goes without saying. I mean, they need an incredible amount of help. We talk about Daniel Jeremiah. one more thing about the draft, and that is, who's the best defensive player other than the obvious one? Who's the next best defensive player in this draft after the Ohio State kid?
Well, there's some good options. I probably would say at this point in time it's his teammate, Jeffrey Okudah, the corner for Ohio State.
Okay.
And if you look around the league, if you watch an NFL game, every game it seems like has a Clemson wide receiver and Ohio State corner.
Yeah.
I mean, they've just been factories for those positions. And Jeffrey Okudah, height, weight, speed, toughness, I mean, he's a no-brainer, top 5 guy.
And LSU always has a ton of defensive guys, too. So, I mean, they probably got a couple of good ones.
They got a freshman, Mike, they got a freshman corner, Stingley. Holy moly, he's the best corner. He's the best corner in college football. Kid's a true freshman. Derek Stingley's kid, he's phenomenal.
Stingley's kid?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's pretty interesting in itself. Okay. All right, in the league right now, San Francisco, someone you see a lot of. Is San Francisco, in your mind, are they a legitimate NFC title team yet in your mind, or are they not there yet?
Well, I have them there, and I've had them there for a little while, and I thought this was a playoff team before the season started, and I think that now the way that they're cooking and the fact they could be, they could have the playoffs go right through their backyard. They've got the things that you need to play well in the postseason. They got a defensive line that can completely dominate football games. They can run the football with a combination of a good offensive line, really good running backs, and the best run scheme with Kyle Shanahan in the NFL. They haven't even been healthy up front, so they're even going to get better at running the football. And the quarterback, while it's not always pretty, the guy doesn't lose.
No, I like him. He knows how to play. He understands that. He understands what it's about. No, it's not about padding your stats. It's about winning the game. That's exactly right.
He needs to step up.
Yeah.
He needs to step up against Arizona. That's exactly what he did. But they don't have to run through him. But I think it's kind of like that ripcord. If necessary, you can pull that thing and you'll be just fine. I think they're a Super Bowl caliber team.
Tight end's as good as anybody in the sport, no question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a wonderful player. So you think they're there right now? So that's it. Okay. So you think because I wonder about if their offensive line's going to get exposed in a big game.
Well, I think they have been playing without both their starting tackles, and we talked about the tight end. They've got the best fullback and the most versatile fullback in the NFL, and so you get both tackles back. Staley, who to me is still a top 5 to 6 left tackle in the NFL. You get him back, get the right tackle back, McGlinchey, who's a first-round pick, and you get the best fullback back. I don't worry about them. And pass protection-wise, with Shanahan's system, it's so much of that stretch and boots, and you're not going to be staring at a stationary target back there. They do a good job of moving him around.
Have any of the quarterbacks, Daniel, in this draft, because the New York team is going to be picking very high, and obviously they're not going to be in the market for quarterbacks unless something crazy happens, but this was considered to be a very, very big quarterback draft, and now you have Burrow in the mix of it. You have, obviously, the other names that we know at Georgia, at Oregon, obviously two are at the top. Is there, because early in the year, people thought there could be as many as 5 quarterbacks in the first round. You think it's still that many in the first round of this draft?
I don't think so. But it's interesting to see what happens with some of these teams with some older quarterbacks that might be in the mix. And there's a lot of teams that have decisions to make at the position. So I would say 3 for sure, and the 3 for sure, 2 is going to go in the first round. Herbert from Oregon is going to go in the first round. Burrow is going to go in the first round. I feel very confident about that.
How about the Georgia quarterback?
The Georgia's on the fence guy for me. I think, more likely a second-round guy, but could he go in the 20s? Sure. Maybe he can climb his way up. He's all about the intangibles, doesn't wow you with any of his skills, but just smart, tough, accurate, those things. He's good. I still think he's kind of a borderline guy there. And then you've got, kind of the wild card. There's a couple wild cards. Jacob Eason at Washington has got a crazy amount of talent. He just hasn't played a lot of football and is a little bit inconsistent. But, some teams gamble on that. So I keep an eye on him. And the kid at Utah State, I would have thought before the season, Jordan Love would have been a first-round pick, has not had a great year. But another guy with a lot of talent. Those to me are kind of wild card second-round picks more than they are.
Did you think Minshew would be an NFL player?
Yeah, I mean, I have him higher than where he got picked. I mean, I thought he was going to chance to be a really
good... He's not bad. He knows how to play the position.
I said in my report that he was a poor man's Baker Mayfield. In other words, like he kind of frenetic and very energetic. He doesn't have quite the arm strength that Baker Mayfield had, but there was some moxie to him that Baker had coming out of college. So, he's played much better than Baker has this year.
Absolutely, he's played really well. Except for the London game, he's played really well this year. He's made a lot of good decisions. Where did you have Daniel? Were you a pro Daniel Jones guy or a negative Daniel Jones guy?
Daniel Jones was my 32nd overall player, who I thought had a chance to be a solid starter. I said, the way I put it was, Daniel Jones, to me, the floor is Ryan Tannehill, and the ceiling is Matt Ryan. So you're hoping if you put the right pieces around him, you can get a Matt Ryan type of player.
Did you know his mobility was this good?
Yeah, I mean,
he's a lot more mobile than I thought he was. He's very mobile.
Yeah, you play behind. Well, first of all, he's a great basketball player, which I love. So that shows you about his athleticism.
Yeah, Billis said he was the toughest player he had. Billis said he was a really underrated basketball player.
Absolutely. So he was a very good basketball player. You saw him run. Some of it is out of necessity. He had to run around at Duke because they weren't very good up front. But they used him in some design quarterback run stuff. He had, I want to say, North Carolina had like a 75-yard touchdown run. So I knew he could scoot.
Yeah, he's not bad. I mean, he's a better athlete than I thought he would be. And when you look at those two quarterbacks playing this weekend, now they've both turned the ball over. Yeah. Sam has had a lot of trouble since the New England game. What do you see with the two quarterbacks right now?
Well, I think that Daniel has significantly more around him at this point in time than Sam does. Daniel's got to clean up the fumbles, but I've seen in terms of throwing the football, I've been encouraged. I think that kind of normal rookie stuff, you're going to have turnovers, you're going to have high highs, low lows, but I think he's, on the whole, you have to be pleased with how he's played. And then Sam, they're so bad up front. It's the worst offensive line that I've seen in a long time. And now you get a game even against Miami when they did have the protection hold up a little bit. He was a little bit skittish. So, I mean, look, they've got to clean the whole thing up around him. I still believe in him. He's a young kid. But it's just not a whole lot for him to work off of right now. And you can see a little bit of the frustration in the way he's playing.
Who do you think goes to Florida State?
I still think Stoops from Kentucky is going to end up being the guy. I know Deion's throwing his name in the mix.
Yeah, Deion, he won't do the work. You can't hire Deion. Listen, Deion is Deion, but he won't do the work. You can't hire Deion. I mean, that's crazy.
I would like to see it because I think it would be fun.
Yeah, but he won't. But you better bring someone to do the work. He's not going to do the work. So, I mean, and I can see Stoops. I know there's been a lot of talk about the Iowa State coach, who is a very good coach. Now, I don't know if he can recruit on that level. And that's where they want to recruit in Florida State, as you know, is high pressure. I don't know if he can do that, but he's a good coach. He's done a good job with that program.
Well, I'm going to tell you who they should hire, Mike. They should, and hear me out on this. I know he's only been there for 1 year. They should offer Scott Satterfield whatever he wants to leave Louisville to go to Florida State. This is a guy who built the Appalachian State program that was ranked number 20 in the nation last week. He built that whole thing back up when they went to Division I. He goes to Louisville where Bobby Petrino had run that thing into the ground. They were a 2-win team last year with no talent. And now I think they were like 16-2 or something like that at Louisville. And he recruited, he coached at FIU, he recruited and coached T.Y. Hilton. He knows Florida, he's got players from there, and he's proven he can turn things around. I would back up the truck if I was Florida State to try and get him out of Louisville, but that would be my choice.
And Florida State just flirting got Fleck a huge deal in Minnesota. I mean, they got him a 7-year deal. I mean, but
Fleck got that deal signed right before they played Penn State. They get Greens beat them this week. That was a better move.
Very, very smart. And he had Florida State flirting, and he got everything at the right time. Absolutely. And you know, the other name was Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's not going to Florida State. There's no way. I mean, it's just not. No, but you keep hearing USC. You keep hearing USC, but the thing is this. Here's what I think about. If Notre Dame thinks for a second that they can get Urban Meyer, they would make a move on him. But again, they're going to have to give Urban the free card where he gets the guys in school he wants, which is what kept them from going there the first time. And they're going to have to do that, which I don't know if they'll do. But if Urban Meyer, I think, could not resist going to Notre Dame if they offered it to him. I don't think he could resist it.
Mike, we had him on our Move the Sticks podcast this week, and he spent 30 minutes with us laying out how he builds a football program. So if you're a fan of Notre Dame or USC or any of these schools, you want to know what it would look like, man, he laid the whole thing out. It was like talking to a 4-star general, give you the battle plan. The guy's never lost. He wins every year.
He's one of the greatest coaches I've ever seen. Not only that, he also, as you know, I'm sure he got into it, about how the fifth level is winning after you leave. And he's proven that now with how much they're winning at Ohio State. He left the cupboard full at Ohio State. Ohio State's got a great team right now.
No doubt, and selfishly, as somebody that's in the personnel business, look at the players he's giving the NFL and find all the busts. There aren't many of them. I mean, they're the best players in the NFL, a bunch of Ohio State guys. So it's working at the college level, and he's making a bunch of great pros as well.
Do you think, do you like what Jackson's doing as far as his quarterbacking? I know people think it's revolutionary. I don't believe that for a second. I think he's a unique player, just like Michael Vick was, and he either will or won't get better in the pocket. I don't know if he will or won't. As he gets older, he'll have trouble running because he'll get hurt, just like Michael Vick did. To me, he's just another Michael Vick, a unique, very talented, gifted kid. People who think that it's going to be a new wave of quarterbacks in the NFL are nuts, absolutely nuts. You agree with that or disagree?
He's the best running quarterback that I think Michael Vick was my first year in scouting. So he's the best running quarterback since Michael Vick. Those guys come around like him once every
10 years, and they always get hurt.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. He went to an organization with the coach, the offensive coordinator, who was running that offense better than anybody else in history, because he had Kaepernick when they were going to the Super Bowl with Kaepernick, and he knew how to put that offense in. They had a great offensive line. They've got running back tight end. They've got a defense that keeps you in games so you don't have to chase points. I mean, it was a perfect landing spot, and give him credit. He's taking advantage of it.
You got to have a defense to have that quarterback, though, because it's about controlling the clock and controlling the running game and field position, and you can win with the lead. Right, you can play with the lead, and you can control the game that way, but your defense has got to be real good. It can't give up cheap points. Like, you can't have a Kansas City defense, and you're not going to put up 40 points every day. You're just not going to do it.
Yeah, they've got a formula, though. I mean, you see it. I mean, there's teams.
I think you can win right now with them. At this stage, you can win with them, but I think it gets harder as the years go on because the punishment that he takes a huge effect on his body. It just does. Anybody who's going to carry the ball at quarterback that many times is going to take a beating.
It's fun to watch, though.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. He reminds me of a young Vic. He really does. He's actually faster than Vic was, I think. Vic was great, but I actually think he's faster than Vic was, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, he's a little more elusive as a runner, too. I mean, he's fun, man. He's fun to watch runner. He can make his plays.
Did you like him coming out as far as being able to handle this in the pros, or were you against it?
No, I thought that you have to change what you do and build it around him. But I thought you had a chance. I think it's a very high floor, maybe a low ceiling, system where you're going to win 19 games every year because you're just going to run the ball down people's throats. Now, when you get in the postseason, it gets a little
hard to win in the playoffs with those guys. Very hard.
That's the whole point. That's the point. But we'll see.
Yeah, very hard. Defenses get better and they take it away. So it's very hard to win in the playoffs with that. I agree with you on that. Regular season, when you don't see it, it's much harder to defend. I totally agree. We're talking with Daniel Jeremiah about a variety of things because he does college and he does the draft and he does the NFL and everything. All right, NFC, who makes the playoffs, who doesn't? Because the teams that don't is going to be very interesting. Who doesn't make the playoffs in the NFC?
Well,
who are your wild cards?
The way it's looking right now, I would say you're going to get the Packers and the Vikings. I think are both going to get in out of the North. So that's one of your wild cards right there. And I think the other wild card's going to come out of the West. I think it's going to be, when it's all said and done, it's going to be for those three teams, the Niners, the Seahawks, the Rams. I think the Niners are in, and I think the Seahawks, Rams, whoever comes out of that, will be your second wild card, which means only one team from the NFC East.
You like Dallas or Philly?
I like Philly.
I like Philly.
I'll stay with Philly, but I mean, to me, it's kind of a coin flip between those two.
Philly's last 5 games are games they can win. They get Dallas at home and 4 easy games. 2 with the Giants, 1 with Washington, one with Miami. I think they can run the table and win it. I think so, and I think Green Bay at San Francisco, followed by San Francisco at New Orleans. That's going to decide things. I think New Orleans is going to wind up with the 1 seed myself.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one, though. I cannot wait for that game. And those teams in the trenches, look, it's so funny. Like, this game ain't complicated, man. Look at these teams we're talking about, how good their offensive, defensive lines are. That's how you win, man. That's how you do it each and every year. Don't stray from that. Those are the good teams.
Well, what's going on with the Rams? You think the Rams are hurting, or you think they'll have a good second half?
Well, I think they just dropped some early games, and I think they're facing that first place schedule, and their division is a murderer's row, the way that division is right now. So I think that's kind of part of it. I could see them getting on a little bit of a run here. When you look at Steelers, Bears the next 2 weeks, they can get right against those two teams before they go on the road to take on the Ravens. I think that's a Sunday night game, so that'll be a huge one.
Has Kingsbury done better than you thought, or less than you thought, or what you thought as far as taking over and running that program?
I'll be honest with you, I think it's a little bit better than I thought.
I agree.
Especially the way they started, and they've been competitive, and that team does still not have a ton of talent, and they're competitive, and they're winning football games, and they're in football games for the most part, except for the same team.
Were you a Trubisky guy or not a Trubisky guy?
I had Trubisky in the 30s on my list coming out, and he was the second pick, so the coffee was a little bit rich for me, but I do think he's got a lot of talent, and I think that there is a lack of faith there between him and the head coach, and that's an issue.
Also, a thin skin. You can't be running around as the bad quarterback and then worried about what the media is saying about you. You cannot, it's not going to work. Not in that town where they basically bleed everything Chicago Bears. You cannot worry about the fact they're going to give you a hard time in that town. They are. You can't run around turning the TVs off.
I know. That's something I think you might regret putting that one out there.
I mean, that was a killer. Jameis Winston, are you a believer or not a believer?
I think I know who Jameis Winston is, and I would be trying to find that next guy, because I use the confetti test, Mike. I try and envision that I see the confetti falling down with this guy hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, and I don't see that with Jameis Winston.
Here's the thing with Winston that's fascinating, though, Daniel. He makes enough positive plays, he just makes too many negative plays.
This is how I say it. Jameis, the best way to summarize Jameis Winston, every week he does a great job of keeping both teams in the football game.
That's exactly well said. He does exactly that. And I would think you could cut the bad stuff out when he makes that many good throws.
That's who he is. But that's who he is. That's who he's always been. That's who he'll always be. I mean, he's played a lot of games in this league, and he's shown you that he just does not have a lot of regard for the football and the turnovers. It's just, you can't make a run in the postseason when you're turning the ball over that much.
Would you fine tune or back up the truck in Atlanta?
I would, with the Falcons, I'm starting over. I would probably trade everything that wasn't nailed down. They need a full reboot.
Including Matty Ice?
I would. I just think by the time you get the rest of the team where it needs to be, it's going to be outside of his window, so you might as well use him at this point in time to create some assets and just start the painful rebuild.
Were you a Christian McCaffrey fan coming out of the draft?
And he's even eclipsed what I thought he would do. But I mean, I thought he was a top tier player in that draft, and he's been able to carry the same workload that he carried at Stanford. That was my only question: could he hold that? And he has.
Yeah, he's better than I thought he would. I loved Cook. I thought Dalvin Cook was the steal. I loved him. I thought he was the best back in college. He's been great, but he's also been hurt. But I mean, he's having a really good year this year. But McCaffrey's even been a little better.
Yeah, he's doing it. He's shaking the NFL like it's the Pac-12. I mean, he's just carving up everybody, doing it, running, catching. He's on a record pace right now for the numbers, but he's just getting lost in the shuffle because he's not a quarterback.
Were you a Deshaun Watson fan or no?
I like Deshaun Watson. I should have liked him a lot more than
I loved him in college. I loved him in college. I didn't think he was going to be a great pro, I admit it. I begged people to vote for him in the Heisman. I voted for him twice in a row. He didn't win any of the year. I thought he was the best player in college. I thought he would struggle more from the pocket than he has. His coach was right. I was wrong. His coach said he was going to be a great pro. He's been a really good pro, much better than I thought he would be.
He's got, and I've got to know him through that draft process and even more now in the league. He has rare competitiveness. I mean, rare competitiveness.
He was a great college player. I just thought he would have trouble negotiating what was his strength in college, his ability to put pressure on the corner and still be able to, make the throws. I thought he would struggle more from the pocket than he has in the pros. He's better, especially throwing at deep ball. He's better at throwing at it than I thought he would be. He really is a very productive player. He really is.
If you told me I could build around one young quarterback right now, I know most people would take Mahomes. To me, that'd be a debate.
song, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.
LSU and Alabama are facing off, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get an even bigger win when you bet on the game. Sign up with the promo code WFAN and bet up to $5 on the LSU Alabama money line. If your bet wins, FanDuel Sportsbook pay out your bet inside credit at 25-1 odds. Just signs and more. Best of all, FanDuel Sportsbook has lightning fast withdrawals. That means you can have your winnings in your pocket in as little as 24 hours. So sign up with the promo code WFAN. That's WFAN. Then place a $5 money line bet on the LSU Alabama game. You get paid out inside credit at 25-1 odds if you win. FanDuel, download the FanDuel Sportsbook app now or visit FanDuel.com/sportsbook to bet today. Must be 21 plus and physically present in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. First online wager only. Bonus issued inside credit. Inside credit expires 7 days after receipt. Terms apply. Pre-game wager required. Max $125 bonus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Partner to solve complex connectivity challenges facing your enterprise. Turn to RCN Business. We provide industry-leading, high-capacity, secure connectivity solutions, including internet, voice, with faster delivery times than most other New York City providers. Check out RCN Business. Visit us today at rcn.com/business.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they're the right hire. And we give you this toy monkey, which will bang its cymbals when the right resume appears. Okay, there is no
Silk Road chose. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills and messes quicker, and is 2 times more absorbent than the leading ordinary brand, so you can get back to getting caught in the rain. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Pool parties aren't just for summer. You and your friends could jump in a mega pool where you could win $145 million. So dive in with Mega Millions. Anything can happen in Jersey.
All right, sports fans. Winter is coming and will be here before you know it. If you heat your home with oil, you have to hear this message. Low-price home heating oil is now available to WFAN listeners at a fixed price that can save you hundreds of dollars a year on your home heating bill. If you think you are paying way too much to heat your home, then pick up your cell phone and call 866-OIL-DEAL to see how much you can save on home heating oil. The Sloman's Home Heating Oil service is staffed 24/7, and mechanics are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to ensure your family is never left in the cold. Just call 866-OIL-DEAL. The heating oil line is now open for WFAN listeners. You think you're paying too much for your home heating oil or service? Then call the home heating oil line now to see how much you can save. Don't wait. There's no reason to pay too much for home heating oil. Get the best service, 24-hour mechanics, and a low flat rate for this home heating season guaranteed. Just call 866-OIL-DEAL. That's 866-OIL-DEAL.
Bruni and Campisi, serving Westchester, Fairfield, and Putnam counties, are your plumbing, heating, and air conditioning experts. This season, don't think twice and turn to a reliable ductless heat pump system that can handle a frigid northeast winter. Install a ductless heat pump system with full heating capacity to -17 degrees and for as low as $60 per month. Learn more at bruniandcampisi.com or call 914-250-5200. When William Hill started his own sportsbook in 1934, he didn't just use any name, he used his own. He wanted people to know that behind every bet there was a name you could count on. And 85 years later, when you're looking to bet during live games with in-play, bet with the trusted name in sports betting, William Hill, America's #1 sportsbook. Simply download the app or visit WilliamHill.com and use the promo code INPLAY for a special offer when you sign up. 21 plus only, must be physically present in New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is happening. I'm sitting at my standing desk, not necessarily looking at celebrity gossip, playing
Heavens or sin.
The new homepage module is supposed to go live this month, Deirdre, and the dev team's backed up for weeks.
Kevin's solution is to sweat through his shirt. I hop on Upwork and hire a web dev agency with a flawless success rating because the new module will be getting done. And thanks to Upwork, this is happening.
Oh, you got this under control.
Oh, Kevin, as a matter of fact, I do.
Upwork. Hire freelancers, make things happen.
Are your tires ready for the snow, ice, and freezing rain? Then get to Town Fair Tire for your new set of Michelin tires that offer confidence in all types of winter driving conditions. Long-lasting, fuel-efficient Michelin winter tires will keep you going for many years to come. And Town Fair has every Michelin winter tire at the guaranteed lowest price you'll find anywhere. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.
The football season is heating up, and Bet America is offering you a risk-free bet up to $1,000 to bet on your team or against your rivals. Bet on the money line or the spread. Bet on totals or the futures. And get up to $1,000 back if your first bet loses. Bet now at Bet America, America's Sportsbook. 21 plus only. Up to $1,000 given in bonus funds. Must be physically present in New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit 800gambler.org.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. 30% of Americans who are planning home improvements of $5,000 or more will pay for those renovations with a high-interest credit card. That may not be a great idea. A better idea may be to take cash out of your home with a Quicken Loans 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%, APR 4.08%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rate subject to change. Pay 1.25% fee to receive this discount rate. Call for cost of duration and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. And loss number 3030.
Sheet Metal Workers Local 22 provides professionally trained craftsmanship for residential, light commercial, and industrial sites. Since 1932, New Jersey has counted on Local 22 work on HVAC, fabrication, and installation. Smart Local 22. It pays to partner with Smart. We're back. The Aging Report is brought to you by Hospital for Special Surgery and by the Score Bet, the way betting was meant to be. We welcome in Dr. Steve O'Brien from the Hospital for Special Surgery. Doc, welcome. How are you?
Hey, Mike, I'm doing great. How are you?
All right, Doc, let me start with Mahomes. He's back this week. They gave him the extra week off. Now he's back. He wanted to come back earlier. Andy pushed it back a couple of weeks to give him a couple of weeks to get stronger. The question I have for you is, and you alluded to this before, what kind of Mahomes will we see now that he's back in action?
Great question, Mike. So I watched some video, believe it or not, of him practicing this week. He's definitely not 100%. As we talked about before, this is not going to be a safety concern. It's going to be a performance issue as to whether he's the same type of quarterback. Now, this is a kid that can do when the lights come on, so there's an element of predictability. But if he was a mere mortal, he would be a limited quarterback to the pocket. He's not moving as normally, that's for sure. I could see him looking as he moves around in pocket.
So you think he'll be... Do you think he'll be cautious, or do you think he'll be constrained in any way, or do you think he'll be noticeable to the layman's eye, or no?
I don't think this kid will ever constrain himself. The question is, will he be able to move the same way? The other question is, will they configure their game plan to keep him in the pocket?
Probably so, I would think. A little bit more, anyway. They'll probably do a lot less. They'll probably do a lot less moving him around, probably.
Yeah, they'll probably encourage him to take a dive, not take a dive, but, not to take extra chances,
Yeah, it makes sense. It does make plenty of sense. Bell this week, it looks like he's going to play. Any concerns with him, or do you think he should be okay?
This is a great question, Mike. He's averaging 3.3 yards per carry, which is the lowest in his career. He's had one rushing touchdown. He's got a sore shoulder. He's got a sore knee. He's practicing limited right now. The question is this the best thing for him and the team? I mean, he's going to be able to play, there's no question. And I guess he wanted the MRI because he wanted to make sure he was structurally sound, and he was. The question here is more judgment call. Is it better to play off fresh light, or is it better to, what's the best thing for him and the team? I mean, he'll play.
They have a bad offensive line is the bottom line. They can't open any holes for him. I mean, they have a useless offensive line. It's really what it comes down to. It's killing him, too. He's had a terrible season because of it.
if I'm making the decisions, I'd leave him out, let him get healthy, put fresh legs in there, let him be the typical Le'Veon Bell a week or so from now. Then who knows? You know, he's still practicing limited. They have a bye next week. I think he'll be back the week after. I looked at the picture of his injury, and it was not a Litvak type injury, and that's key because that's kind of the third rail for a lot of these athletes like Cam Newton and others, which you've heard. But there are other structures in the midfoot you can hurt, and I think that's what he did. And I think he's just too sore to play. Giving him the week off next week, he'll be fine 2 weeks from now.
I'm throwing you a curve here. I should have told you this beforehand, but I forgot. Tua T is a game-time decision in the Alabama-LSU game, the big game this week. He had the high ankle sprain on the right ankle for a left-handed quarterback. Last year he had it on the left ankle. It bothered him right through the playoffs. He played with it. He wasn't the same player. They did a surgical procedure, Doc, right after he sprained the ankle, which was, I think, 19, 20 days ago. They did a surgical procedure. I don't know what they did, but they did something to alleviate the swelling or promote health or promote healing or whatever. What do you think about him? And they'll tell us tomorrow if he's going to play. They will not tell us today, they said. But what do you think about him? I know you haven't seen him, but how about the high ankle sprain after 20 days? Does the procedure that they did work? I mean, is there a standard procedure to alleviate or to promote healing with that kind of thing?
Mike, it's a great topic, a great question. And Lyle Kane, who is one of the doctors for Alabama, is innovating this, and he's doing a great job. This is for guys that have high ankle sprains or have any slight separation with pain between the two lower bones and leg, the tibia and fibula. And his hypothesis is he can get them back faster if he does a minor procedure and holds those two bones together, and it's working great, and he's doing a study on it. He's a very, very good doctor. I think it's the right thing to do, especially in his hands. So he's going to be the equivalent of Saquon Barkley, who's got a high ankle deal. But I think it's going to turn out good. I mean, I think he'll be okay. That procedure you can see more and more of. And Lyle Kane is a very good
So this guy's actually invented a procedure that is working.
He's modified a procedure that has made it maybe 10% of the downtime of what the bigger company used to do.
Have you seen the procedure before?
No, but it makes entirely good sense, and Lyle Kane is a very good doc, and he's done this in a lot of athletes at Alabama, and it's worked extremely well.
And how much is it, Doc? How much difference is it for him to not be on his plant foot this time versus that? Because this time he's not on his plant foot. Last year he was.
Well, you said it's his right ankle this time, right?
Yes. Okay.
So he's also running quarterback, and it's like Barkley. Is he going to be the same runner? Doesn't matter.
3 days was probably quicker.
Absolutely right, Mike. He's kind of watching his results, but he's done a great job, and I think he did exactly the right thing, and I think he'll do fine.
Okay, it sounds good, Doc. Yeah, thanks very much, Doc. We'll chat next week. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Mike, have a great week.
Thank you, Doc.
Be well.
Dr. O'Brien, back after this. The CBS Sports Minute is brought to you by Winters Bros Waste Systems. Visit wintersbros.com. This is Tiki Barber with the CBS Sports Minute. The NBA is so full of it when it comes to the load management controversy that started to percolate after originally ruling that the LA Clippers were compliant in resting star forward Kawhi Leonard in the first game of back-to-back on Wednesday. They subsequently fined the team $50,000 for comments by head coach Doc Rivers, who stated that Leonard felt great. It's a shame that the league has to make excuses about injuries or punish teams for sitting players, which undermines their on-court product. Instead of over-policing the excuse game, then denying fans the opportunity to see their stars, by the way, are paid handsomely to entertain, they need to force teams to at least think about sitting players, make the fine 6 figures, and grow up to subsequent offenses. There needs to be a consequence, because I have a real problem with players taking a day off for maintenance, and I know fans do too. The NBA is trying to be coy about this, but we're not stupid. Head clogged with sinus pressure, congestion, and a stuffy nose? The worst. But if you get faster
relief from Vicks Sinex nasal spray. It works in seconds and lasts for 12 hours. 12 hours. So breathe freely, fast with Vicks Sinex. Use as directed. Pros like you rely on trusted brands to get the job done right. Lowe's is here to help with more of those brands in stock. And even better, will save you money too. Stop in today and pick up a Metabo HPT 1 3/4 inch 15-degree and a blue heater for $40 less, now just $249. Driver, angle grinder, recip saw, flashlight, batteries, and more. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offer style till 2013 with only. Head clogged with sinus pressure, congestion, and a stuffy nose? The worst. But you can get fast relief from Vicks Sinex nasal spray. It works in seconds and lasts for 12 hours. 12 hours. So breathe freely, fast with Vicks Sinex. Use as directed. Tom Fair Tire is Connecticut's largest discount tire dealer. We honor every manufacturer's rebate and all our competitors' rebates too. For the guaranteed lowest price, nobody beats Tom Fair Tire. Nobody! Verizon is building the most powerful 5G experience for America. And we're building it in places where more people can experience it together. Like down south in Atlanta and out west in Denver. Over to Minneapolis, a hop skip to Chicago, right to the Motor City in Detroit. It's in Indianapolis, DC, and most importantly, here in New York City. Wherever people come together, that's where we're bringing 5G with ultra-wideband for unprecedented performance. This is 5G built right. This is 5G from the network more people rely on. Verizon. 5G ultra-wideband only available with markets and cities. From trading to printing, the UPS store does everything for small business. And of course, shipping. And this holiday, when other guys are closing, we're doing another ing altogether. Opening. So while we're busy notarizing and faxing, consulting and mailboxing, packing and shipping, well, they're not really doing much of anything. Opening this holiday, the UPS store. Everything for small business. And of course, shipping. The UPS store franchise locations are independently owned and operated. Services, pricing, and hours may vary. See Center for details. Join a Dominican College info session for graduate and undergraduate adult students Wednesday, November 13th at 5:30. Come see why Dominican College stands out with a broad-based education designed to develop the skills needed to advance your career through a variety of graduate and undergraduate degree programs. Register online at learn.dc.edu. That's learn.dc.edu. And join us November 13th at 5:30 in the Prusmack Center. Dominican College, Orangeburg, New York. Your success starts here.
Taking an overnight trip to the casino.
Wow, that's a lot of packing just for a casino trip. Mary and I are heading out to Resorts World Casino in Queens.
Totally, we're packing. It's a coffee and cash. Hey, did you hear that, Jimmy? You can play your numbers in less time than it takes us to get out of the city.
Right. And you can go play your slots and we'll still be home for dinner.
Hey, let's make a night of it and have dinner at the Casino Steakhouse. Perfect, it's settled. We're all going to Resorts World in Queens.
Thanks, Dan. You saved us hours of driving.
With over 6,500 games, free nightly entertainment, and plenty of dining options. The only place to play is Resorts World Casino in Queens, next to JFK Airport, about an hour from Penn Station, and even closer from everywhere else. Resorts World Casino, New York City. It's how NYC rolls.
18 years of age or older to play New York Lottery games. Please play responsibly.
Weekends are made for football. With so many college and pro games on the slate, the DraftKings Sportsbook app can make your weekend even better. Actually, with hoops and hockey going on too, the DraftKings Sportsbook app can get you in on the action 24/7, 365 days a year. This week, DraftKings is running a special promo for the Battle of New York on Sunday. Just place a bet on either the Giants or the Jets to win and get $10 for every touchdown scored by your team's quarterback. Plus, the DraftKings Sportsbook app has in-game betting so you can bet on games while they're happening. Head to DraftKings.com/WFAN right now. For a limited time, all new and existing users can get a deposit bonus up to $500. That's DraftKings.com/WFAN. For all new and existing users to get a deposit bonus up to $500. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey only. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the 1010 West Traffic Center, I'm Greg Rice with the SupplyHouse.com. Fan Highway Patrol in Queens. Eastbound belt gets worse from Lefferts Boulevard to Francis Lewis Boulevard. Blame it all on a wreck in Brooklyn. Westbound side of the belt, brake lights from Rockaway Parkway to the Verrazano. Eastbound slow in some form or another, all the way back to Erskine Street. BQE, you got an eastbound mess to Atlantic Avenue. The westbound crawl from Northern Boulevard all the way to Cadman Plaza. Inbound George behaves, but none of the outbound options do. Lincoln 30 in, 45 on the outbound ride. Holland 20 in from the Skyway, better from the Turnpike. Outbound Holland, at least an hour. I'm Greg Rice with the SupplyHouse.com. Fan Highway Patrol.
Hi, Saver. Looking for the smartest way to save on your Medicare Part D prescriptions? Walgreens is a preferred network pharmacy with many plans, including United Healthcare, which can mean copays as low as $0 on prescriptions with select plans. So, when you enroll in a plan with Walgreens as your preferred pharmacy, you know you're saving smartly. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Other plans may be accepted.
Live from the Town Fair Tire Studio, it's Mike's On, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.
All right, we're back. As we head towards 4:30, we'll have Gary Danson in a couple of minutes on the big LSU-Alabama game. The LSU-Alabama game is going to be on the Fan, too, so if you're driving around tomorrow afternoon, you want to hear it. I know if you're home, you're going to watch it. It's on TV. It's on CBS, but if not, you want to listen to it, it's on the Fan also, so we'll have Gary on that. Gut feeling is that Tua's going to play. I would think he is. He's been practicing, but Saban said he's not going to make any announcement. Now, maybe Gary knows because Gary's at practice, so maybe he knows if he's going to play. We'll ask him. I'm sure he'll give us his best thought, but we'll see where that is. I would think he will be, but this is a fascinating game now because LSU has an offense this year and a quarterback to go with its defense, and they right now are ranked ahead of them. The polls this week are Ohio State 1, LSU 2, Alabama 3, Penn State 4, Clemson 5, and Georgia 6. Those are the polls. Rick, in Florida, what's up, Rick?
Hey, Mike. Hey, that's perfect. That's what I wanted to ask you about. I talked about with Tua being the number one pick and all that. Do you think if he does play and Joe Burrow outplays him, because Joe Burrow, I've been watching over the year, and he's really doing well. If he outplays Tua and wins the game, they beat Alabama, do you think that'll change the possibility of the 1-2 picks next year for quarterbacks? Tua will be maybe second.
No,
Joe going
I don't think he will be picked. I think Tua will still be, if he's in the draft, will still be the first player picked. I believe he will be. I think that Burrow has moved up, though, to where he is a legitimate top 10 pick now, according to a lot of people. And he could, if this continues on the same path, move himself into the top 10 of the draft. And that's a guy who wasn't even mentioned. He was a mid-round pick as the season started. He is 6'4", 215, and he's got 30 touchdowns this year, and I think 30 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Tua's got 29 touchdowns and 2 interceptions so far this year. And they're both undefeated. Ira in Staten Island is getting ready for a big weekend. What's up, Ira?
Hey, what's happening, Mike?
So, Ira, did you sell your tickets to the Giants that game, or are you actually going to go?
No, come on, Mike, you know better than me. I know, I would never. Always got to go there. I got to root for my team, but I think it's going to be in a losing cause. But, you know, it's amazing. You brought it up late September, even maybe early October, the ramifications of this game.
Yes.
And it's playing out just the way you
I
said.
said if you lost to Miami and lost to the Giants, you could get fired the next week. And I think that it's really on the table if they have a bad day. It really is.
I totally agree. And then, you know, with the owners, you know, after this game, I think we have 3 home games left. We got the Raiders, we got the Dolphins, and we got the Steelers.
Yep.
You know, the Raiders and the Steelers are going to fill the building with the big, you know, and
Yes.
their record is what it is.
And they're a little better. Here's the thing, Ira. If you can block the play, the Giants have given up more big plays downfield than any team in the league. They've given up more points than everybody except the Dolphins, and they've given up more plays over 30 yards than I think anybody in the league, or they're right there. So you can make plays. The question is, can they put Sam on his back? That's really the question. You know, they have gotten to the quarterback sometimes. If they get to the quarterback, you know, they'll cause Sam trouble. But if Sam gets time, he can pick them apart.
Well, he could if he has the time, and that's going to be the big question. And, you know, Belichick showed the league what you need to do. You got to get pressure in Sam's face. Unfortunately, you know what? And, Dr. O'Brien does a great job with you for years. This kid should have never played. I'm sorry.
Well, that was his gut. His gut feeling was that Sam wasn't ready to play. I mean, that was, and he's going on it as a guy who did the sideline for 15 years, also as a guy who was a quarterback. So he was not set on Sam playing. He really wasn't. He thought it was not smart of Sam to play. I mean, that was his premise from the beginning. He was very, and he wasn't the only one who thought that, but he really thought that. And this is not someone who doesn't have an expertise. This guy was on the Giants sideline for multiple Super Bowls and for many, many years, 15 years on the sideline with the Giants. Sonny and Malvern, what's up, Sonny?
Hey, Mike. LSU does have the offense go with the defense this year, but tough to win at Alabama.
I don't think they can win. I don't think they'll win. I don't think they're as good as Alabama.
I don't either. Mike, two football questions. One, a fun one, a quarterback one. In their prime, one game to win, Brady or Rodgers?
To win the game?
Yeah.
Brady.
Really? I thought you'd think Rodgers.
No, I think Rodgers is better, but I think Brady wins the game.
Wow. Wow, I'm surprised.
I think Brady's a prolific winner.
Okay. And Mike, with the Giants, listen, in retrospect, these last two Giant coaches have been a disaster, we know. But in retrospect, honestly, I know you were a little hard on him in this last year. Do you think he deserved that? Tom Coughlin talking about it. You think he deserved another year? We all said about his age, but Tom was a real young 70, and he forgot more football than these guys together.
He's a wonderful coach, but you know what? The problem was, it was unacceptable for Tom to lose 3 years in a row. Tom lost 3 years in a row. And
Mike, they gave him a defense the next year, spent $250 million.
I understand, and he was very unhappy about that. He was very hurt by that. I can tell you that for a fact. He was very hurt by that fact they did that. Very hurt. But here's the problem. Certain people in the organization made promises to other people in the organization that if he lost the third year, he was gone. And
they brought McAdoo in the year before, right?
But also that, they were divided on whether he should go or not. And, I can't say now I defended Tom in his third year. I didn't. I thought if he lost 3 years in a row, then he needed to go. And you know what? What we realized was, if you're going to do that, and you're going to move on from a Tom Coughlin, you better bring in a good coach, and they haven't. Because Tom Coughlin was he's a Hall of Fame coach. That's how good he was. He was a Hall of Fame. Yes, he lost 3 years in a row, but he was a Hall of Fame coach. Matt in New Jersey, what's up, Matt?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good, what's happening?
Mike, I got to take you back to a comment you made about an hour ago with Saquon Barkley about he regressed. How could you say he regressed when he's playing on one ankle?
First of all, listen, I'm going on the premise that he's healthy. If he's not healthy, don't play. Okay, I can only go on the premise that if he's out there, the Giants wouldn't put him out there hurt. Okay, if they put him out there hurt, they're stupid. All right, I'm on the premise he's healthy, so that he can make the cuts and that he's healthy. Number one. Number two. He has gotten into such bad habits on blitz pickup. That is a big problem. They're not even wanting him in there all the time anymore on blitz pickup. They're not even using him all the time on passing downs because of that.
Because he's on one ankle.
Wait a second. One ankle isn't going to affect his blitz pickup. Now, come on. You got to don't make excuses for him now. That's making excuses. That's making excuses. And if you think that's the same kid we were looking at going 14 carries for 28 yards. You want to blame it all on an injury? Go ahead. Listen, I'm going to realize that the Giants have a special player there. If they're out there and he's hurt, he says he's not hurt. And then he goes 65 yards on a pass play, which looks like he's fine. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say he's hurt, that's why he's only gaining 2 yards a carry from scrimmage, but then he gets the ball in the flat and he goes 65 yards on a pass play. He went 65 yards on the pass play just fine. Looked just great doing it. Can't have it both ways. His blitz pickup has not been diligent. He's got to get back to doing a better job. He did a better job as a rookie on blitz pickup than he does now. His blitz pickup stuff has not been good. So I got to be honest, he's not doing things as well and as crisply as he did when he first got here. And I'm not going to go on the premise he's hurt. If he were hurt, then I think the Giants would sit him down. There's too much to lose there. And I don't get hurt when you go 65 yards with take a ball and go 65 yards with a pass. If he can do that, then why can't he go 65 yards from scrimmage with a run play? Adam in Bayonne, what's up, Adam?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
What's happening?
I want to talk about the Jets. Like, this season has been the absolute worst case scenario that I could have imagined. Like, it's just such a blow from here on out. What do you take, or what do you want to take, or what are you looking for in these next 6 or 7 games? From a coaching perspective, I don't even know what to look for.
I'm looking for a new coach.
Okay.
I've had it. I mean,
I almost agree.
Okay. Got to take. I'm going to tell you this. If you cannot protect Sam better than this, then take him out and sit him down. If you cannot, if you want this kid to be your future, if you cannot protect him more adequately than this, if you cannot do it, if you cannot max protect, if you cannot scheme to protect him better than this, then sit him down. Because you won't have anything left if you keep it up. Kevin in Minneola, what's up, Kevin?
Hey, Mike, a little bit off topic, real quick question. On the Breeders' Cup, the Classic,
right?
When McKenzie was checked on the backstretch, when Tyler came over in front of him, he was going to make an inside move to go for the lead, probably about 6 furlong pole. Do you think that had any, I'm just curious, on the outcome of the race?
I can't say yes because Veneroso won so easily that I could not give the race to. Listen, I think he would have grew earlier. It might have changed the race a little bit, but he wouldn't have won though.
You don't think so?
I can't say somebody else was going to win that day when that horse was sitting on that race. He won so easily. He ran so big. I can't give the race to anybody else. He won too big. Yeah, I just can't. There's always a way you can look at a race. Somebody didn't lead. Somebody fell out of the gate. Somebody got trapped. Somebody didn't get to the front. Changes the race dramatically. Yes, it does. It changes. Pace makes race. So it does change the race. But when a horse wins as easily as Veneroso won, you got to take that into account. That's all there is to it. You can't take anything away from it. Tim in Morristown, what's up, Tim?
Yeah, I might. Hope you had a nice weekend. With the Cowboys, a couple of things. First of all, I think Joe Jones is flying in the black cat on the private jet. Hopefully that will help.
I think that's all silly, but go ahead. What else?
Yeah, that was silly. I don't know. Dinosaurs are a little downstairs. So, Sunday's game, the Sunday night game, I'm a little worried about that one with the Vikings. I mean, the Cowboys have had so many slow starts. I'm wondering why they're having so many slow starts like the Giants and Dolphins. And it seems like they don't wake up until the third quarter, and I don't think they can afford to do that this game. And I know he's not playing, but this Dalvin Cook, he still scares me. The Vikings defense.
There's just good teams away from home. They're 4-0. They're the most dependable home favorite in the league. They're 2-3 away from home. They don't beat good teams. They don't beat teams with winning records on the road. That's their MO. It's been their MO under this coach. Very good, very dominant home favorite. Very bad road dog. That's who they are. So going on that premise, Dallas wins 24-17, something like that. They're not the same defense home. Home, they are an aggressive defense that gets to the quarterback, that uses the buildings noise, that gets off the very fast starts in games and plays downhill. Road doesn't happen that way, and they're not nearly as efficient. You look at their scoring, look at the teams scoring against them, home, road. Perfect example. This is not a good road team. So I would think the Cowboys would win. I think the teams are dead equal in ability. I think they're dead equal. I think they're a flip of a coin. But I think Dallas is home. That's the difference in the game. Back after this. Whether you're pursuing excellence on the gridiron or in business, you need a committed team and savvy strategy to achieve your goals. Visit directenergybusiness.com to find the total energy management game plan that's right for your business. Visit directenergybusiness.com today.
There are always more ways to win on FanDuel Sportsbook, and it's easy to get your winnings when you want them. With FanDuel Sportsbook's cash out feature, you can end your bet early and claim your cash with the push of a button. Plus, FanDuel's fast payouts mean you can get your winnings in your pocket in as little as 24 hours. And best of all, you can place your first bet on FanDuel Sportsbook risk-free. If you lose, you'll get a refund of up to $500 in site credit. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app with promo code WFAN to bet from anywhere in New Jersey. If you lose your first bet within 7 days of signing up, FanDuel Sportsbook will give you a refund of up to $500 in site credit. That's promo code WFAN. Cash out not available on all markets. Offer applies to first online wager only. Refund issued as site credit. Site credit expires after 14 days. Go to sportsbook.fanduel.com for full terms. Must be 21 or older and present in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the 1010 West Traffic Center, I'm Greg Rice with the SupplyHouse.com Fan and Highway Patrol. Van Rockford, New Jersey, and Paramus, northbound Garden State Parkway, heading to 163. That wreck involves a car that flipped onto the guardrail and blocks at least the right lane. 17 south and over to Linwood Avenue, bad wreck blocks the two right lanes. Inbound George could go to the upper and lower. There is no easy way out. Lincoln, 45 to 60 in, at least 40 to 45 out. Holland, it's an hour back to Jersey. It's 30 into the city by the Skyway. Better follow the turnpike. Verrazano upper level Staten Island bound is dead, as is the entire westbound expressway as far as the West Shore. I'm Greg Rice with the SupplyHouse.com Fan Highway Patrol.
And Bet America is offering you a risk-free bet up to $1,000 to bet on your team or against your rivals. Bet on the money line or the spread. Bet on totals or the futures. And get up to $1,000 back if your first bet loses. Bet now at Bet America. America's Sportsbook. 21 plus only. Up to $1,000 given in bonus funds. Must be physically present in New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit 800GAMBLER.org.
HL Gross Jewelers reminds you to always count on and trust them with your next engagement or jewelry purchase. Make HL Gross your destination for top designer and classic engagement rings. Visit HL Gross in Garden City or online at hlgross.com. At Tom Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires. From Connecticut to Maine, we beat the other stores, the warehouse clubs, and every online site for the absolute guaranteed lowest price. Nobody beats Tom Fair Tire. Nobody.
Time for another Action Network Watch. On Sunday night, Dallas hosts Minnesota, and money is favoring one side of the total with over 70% on the over 48. For all the betting info, download the free Action Network app today. From shredding to printing, the UPS store has everything for small business. And of course, shipping. And this holiday, when the other guys are closing, we're doing another aim altogether, opening. So while we're busy notarizing and faxing, consulting and mailboxing, packing and shipping, well, they're not really doing much of anything. Opening this holiday, the UPS store. For small business. And of course, shipping. The UPS store franchise locations are independently owned and operated. Services pricing and hours may vary. See Center for details.
Join the Dominican College info session for graduate and undergraduate adult students Wednesday, November 13th at 5:30. Come see why Dominican College stands out with a broad-based education designed to develop the skills needed to advance your career through a variety of graduate and undergraduate degree programs. Register online at learn.dc.edu. That's learn.dc.edu. And join us November 13th at 5:30 in the Prospect Center. Dominican College, Orangeburg, New York. Your success
experience by making reservations at Equestrius, where fans can enjoy fine dining and the best views of the track. For more details or to make a reservation, visit NYRA.com. Can't make the track or bet the races on NYRABets.com. That's NYRABets.com. Now this football season, check out the all-new Barbecues Restaurant and Sports Bar in Stanford with over 200 HD TVs, 32 beers on draft, and an upscale yet affordable sports menu. Bobby V's is the place this football season for all that you're looking for. You know, winners go to Stanford and Atlantic Street, the destination crafted for all that go and have a good time at the restaurant. So go to Bobby V's, go to BobbyV'sRestaurant.com. Bobby V's Restaurant. Check it out and enjoy. All right? Gary Danielson will join us in a little while. We'll have him on Alabama LSU, which comes your way tomorrow. You can hear the game on the fan. Number 2 versus 3 in the poll, the first poll that came out. 2 versus 3. Raiders won last night over the Chargers. First time they beat the Chargers in a while. Drew and Trenton, what's up, Drew?
Hey, Mike. Yeah, maybe it's my frustration with this team, but at the end of the Detroit game the other night with the Knicks, I don't see fans out smiling and hugging some of the players of the other team. I don't want to see that if they get blown out 2 games, 2 mediocre teams. I mean, it's enough.
What's up, George?
Hey, Mike. Maybe this is me just getting the panic button or just tired of seeing it just lose every week. If next year, I mean, it's looking like we're going to have a pretty decent draft pick. Would you think, you know, I know you're high on the quarterback this year. Would you give up on Sam Darnold or would you give him another year?
I would draft, no